The New York Jets are attempting to pull off a discount double check by signing Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson at the same time. We'll react to it and talk about it. Boy Green Daily starts right bleeping now.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, and we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm your handsomely dressed and handsome host here on the program. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you to Foco for the new button-up, debuting it on Boy Green Daily. What better place to do so? Now, we're going to talk about this double dip. The Jets trying to sign Sauce Gardner Garrett Wilson at the same time. Now, normally, I'm not a fan of double dipping. Sort of disgusting at parties. One dip rule, normally. But I'm cool with the double dip in this case. You want to know another way I'm cool with the double dip is having a special guest here on a Friday. Hey, now, that's not normal. But, well, we can get a double dip. We try to work it in where we can. And the double dip guest for today's program is none other than Hop on Pop with a Hop on Pop takeover here on a Friday. America.
Hey, now.
What is going on, Pop? Are you going to tear off your shirt? Are you going to motion to the crowd? A real American? Oh.
Yeah, it's tomorrow will mark the 248th year since we adopted the flag of the United States of America. 248 years tomorrow, and tomorrow is Flag Day. So that's, now you know.
God bless America. I was just trying to look around to see if I have a prop, because if I would have had an American flag, I'd be waving it. But USA, USA. Hell yeah, baby. Let's go. There you go, Stephen Fox. God bless America. USA, baby. Yes. Damn straight. Well, Pop, I'm sure you've got a lot of thoughts on this. First, let's go to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, who last night had an update. And, whoa, mama, the Jets are trying to do what now? And that is true. Something exciting for Jet fans and for the season. Dad, there was a lot said there, so we should unpack them in pieces. Again, the important part to start off with the headline of this video and living right up to it is apparently the Jets have already sent in initial offers to both camps. Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. Shout out to Connor Long of NY Flight Jets Talk, who filled in for Jake Asman, had Jeremy Fowler on the show that confirmed that. And the conversations have been ongoing. And that the Jets hope, as Ian Rappaport sort of indicated there, is as they're having both these negotiations, that potentially have these happen near the same time. So it's June 13th. I'm randomly making this up. That they could sign, like Sauce on a June 14th, and then on a June 15th have Garrett. That they're close together, obviously from their draft class of 2022, but getting them both done. And then there's no one player looking at the other, any issues of that nature. So we'll start off on that level first. Potentially signing them both at the same time. Good move? Bad move? Do you advocate for said strategy? Would you have a different plan?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to back up just a tad more than that before we get started.
Okay.
So I've got to call out when stupid happens. You got to call it out.
Okay.
So whoever asked Sauce Gardner during the press conference, would you like to be the highest paid cornerback? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
What other answer? He didn't answer it, but that's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life. Would I like to be the highest paid organizational effectiveness leader in the history of the World Association of Nuclear Power? Yes. Yes, I would. Would your mailman like to be the highest paid mailman in the United States? I'm sure he would. That is a stupid ass question. I just have to get that off the table.
That's true. It is silly because who would want to be the highest paid? But you know what the article would have been of? Hell yeah. Sauce Gardner fires off 2-word message about wanting to be the highest paid. And then people, I already saw this because I posted this article because there's an article associated. You guys can read that in the YouTube description down below. So the story comes out last night. I immediately write a piece, put it up on Heavy on Jets. And one of the comments on the Facebook article of this is like saying something of like, oh, these guys are so greedy. So like already that narrative was there, and Sauce didn't say like, hell yeah, I want to be the highest paid. Although according to the Athletic, they have reported Diana Russini and Zach Rosenblatt, who people have some feelings about, said that Sauce wants to be the highest paid.
Yeah. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, let's talk about it. Again, this is more holistic.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it started when we handed out participation trophy.
Oh, boy.
You get a trophy. You get a trophy. You get a trophy. Maybe that's when this stupid shit started. Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson have, by the collective bargaining agreement and their own signature with their duly appointed agents, signed a contract that they have only completed 60% of, and we're giving them a fucking cookie for showing up to work. What world do we live in? It's a 5-year contract based on the collective bargaining agreement. Before you finish, it was collectively bargained between the union and the NFL that they could pick up that option. They did. Now they have played 3 years out of 5, and we're throwing them a ticker tape parade for showing up to fucking work. What are we talking about?
That's so two things here. First off, you're referencing that Sauce was asked very near the beginning of his press conference, wow, you didn't hold out and like demand this or this or this. And he said, I care about my teammates. I want to be here. Other players in the league, Terry McLaurin, Trey Hendrickson, and several others, to name a few, did not show up to the mandatory minicamp and thus are going to get fined. So there's that part of what you said and indicating that. The second part of it, also in the same CBA, it says after a player completes his third regular season, it's technically season, but third regular season, you're eligible to discuss a new deal. That does not mean the team has to acquiesce of also discussing it with you, but you are then eligible. Before that point, you cannot negotiate a contract extension. No matter how good you are, it doesn't, or bad you are, it doesn't matter at all. But that clause is in there too. Sure. Shouldn't that be a part of the conversation?
No. It is, yes, I was well aware that you could negotiate.
I'm not saying I'm just saying it to the fans that may not be aware of that.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware of it, but that doesn't mean you can negotiate.
Right.
Okay. But you still are under contract.
Right. For
whatever you're under contract for. Okay. It would be a much better argument if this was next year and they didn't show up to mandatory minute. I've got to use some leverage. I'm running out the last year, but that's not the case. We'll take Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson signed his rookie contract that the first 4 years that'll pay him approximately $20 million. When the club picked up the other option,
which is after the third year in May.
Crimea River, they picked up the option. He's going to make he's almost going to double the amount he makes by playing the contract next year.
Yeah, just to explain that to people.
$16 million.
Yeah, you have a 4-year standard contract. Every player in the NFL has that when you get drafted. For first-round picks, you have an additional 5th-year team option that the team has to decide on after the 3rd year. So 3 years happens, and they have to make a decision not on the next season, the following season. So you have to project forward. That's what happens from that perspective in there. So just to explain that for the fans. And that 4 years, as my pop just mentioned, $20.5 million, that's just for the 4 years. The 5th-year option is based on all kinds of things. What occurred during the first 3 seasons? Did they make Pro Bowls? Did they make All-Pros? Did they play a certain amount of the snap percentages or what have you? Depending on what the answers to those questions I just said can put you in 3 separate categories as a 5th-year option player. Me and my dad were talking about before the show how that all works basically and how the money can be cheaper, right? Like Jermaine, his 5th-year option is like in the 13 million ballpark. He was injured and certain other thresholds. Sauce obviously was a first-team All-Pro 2 years, so he goes to an accelerated level of that 5th-year option. So just to explain how some of that works to the fans.
Yeah.
And by the way, Pop, look at this. Speaking of America, G-Man the Prophet for Jets football, baby, with a 5-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships. Hey now.
Hey now.
5 memberships or more, we got to play a little action.
That's what I do know. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
5 new members popped to the Boy Green Coffee Club. We got Jeff Seawald, Nelson Grahalas, Peter S., TX, and Amir Lambden. You guys are all now members of the Boy Green Coffee Club. And G-Man the Prophet for Jet Football, you just got yourself 5 raffle tickets for a contest here at the end of June. A full New York Jets zip-up hoodie plus a Jet Zone banner for your guys' wall that you can have at home. Booyah! Boom shakalaka. G-Man, thanks for kicking us off. Pop, continue.
Yeah. Very good. So I had to get those few things out, right?
I understand.
And it's very clear that my answer to the question and the concept of signing these players is mixed. It's a yes-no. It's a yes-no answer. A yes-no answer. And this answer is based on results. It's based on the Jets spending the right money, right? Aaron Glenn has been very targeted with what they're doing, working on the fringes. And so we didn't do all of that to blow it up now. So I would consider signing one of the players, and I would not consider signing the other.
Okay. And so, but do you see the potential benefit of signing them both at the same time? Because the thought is sort of what we talked about earlier, that if you sign one and not the other, right? Because like that could happen, of course. They go, again, me personally, I think there's a bigger conversation to sign Garrett first than Sauce, because if Sauce really wants to be the highest paid, Garrett has no case to be the highest paid receiver. There's meat on the bone for Garrett. Woody, shout out to him, he explained this yesterday, that if you sign Garrett right now to let's say it's $30 million, and again, I'm making this up somewhat, but if you sign him to a $30 million per year deal, as my dad's spitting out his drink, and then he performs above that, you're like, sweet, we just got Garrett at a steal. If you pay Sauce and make him the highest paid corner in football, the bar is here. That's a very high bar that he's going to have to try to surpass that Garrett does not. Garrett wouldn't be the highest paid wide receiver in any scenario. So there's more meat on the bone. If he has another good year, his price point could go up. Sauce Gardner's price point is less likely to jump up a year from now.
Yes. We can agree to disagree on that. I think we should break down each of the players.
Okay. Well, before we do, G-Man the Prophet is giving 10 Boy Green Coffee Club memberships now. Good Lord have mercy. What a show this has been. Now, Pop, I'm not sure if you know how to do this, but maybe you can try to attempt to hit him with a key shuffle.
Number 44.
Woo! 44, that's me!
Get some cold cuts. Get some cold cuts. Get some cold cuts.
Woo! Give me some!
15 raffle tickets as G-Man jumps into the deep end of the pool. That's what I'm talking about, G-Man. Way to get involved. These 10 memberships went to Ty Rapp, Kyle Smith, Maggie KNYG, CMDR Carney, Julio Kelly, Jose Stefancia, Big Steve, Daniel Ruth, Alon got a membership. Hey, welcome, Alon. And Sir Luca, all getting memberships to the gosh darn Boy Green Coffee Club. 15 raffle tickets for a boy G-Man as we're raining from the high heavens, Pop. It's going to be one of those kind of shows, it feels like.
Boom. Let it rain.
There you go.
Let it rain.
Get those raffle tickets in, baby. Yes. So what part, let's just explore that if there is something to be explored. You said agree to disagree, where I said, Garrett, there's more meat on the bone in terms of contract that, like, he won't, there is no, if he was a high, I will retire from Boy Green Daily if Garrett Wilson becomes the highest paid wide receiver in football this offseason. That, to me, that there is a 0.0% chance of that happening. But Sauce, like, I could see if they paid it and made him highest paid, I'm like, okay, I could sort of see it with the first team All-Pro stuff and what his agent was arguing. And that if he could be the highest paid this year, then what's the difference of making the highest paid this year to next year? Who is topping Derek Stingley, who just became the highest paid at $30 million? I think that could happen with Jamar Chase and other receivers coming in, basically.
Yeah, I actually see it shockingly the exact opposite. Of you.
Okay, do tell. All right,
the exact opposite of you. I would tell you that. So I guess we'll just jump into it, right? I believe the Jets should sign Garrett Wilson to the contract now for
that's
the
what I said.
For the right price.
Yeah,
for the right price, and do not sign Sauce Gardner. Do not.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyways, Garrett Wilson, it's got to be for the right price, right?
All right.
Garrett Wilson is on the bottom end of the top third of wide receivers in the NFL.
That's hard math to do. Can you explain that to the less inclined?
He's like he's in the top 12 to 15 wide receivers.
Okay.
In the NFL.
I appreciate you explaining it in that way. My brain can understand that easier.
Yes. So he's in the top third, and frankly, he is what he is. Like we know what he is. He brings about 1,100 yards to the yard, right, with his milkshake, right? And so he's going to produce what he's going to produce, right? The Jets, Aaron Rodgers was within 100 yards of the most yards ever thrown by a quarterback in Jets history last year. Garrett Wilson was the number 3rd in the NFL in targets for a wide receiver. And so he is what he is. So despite being the 3rd in targets, he was in the bottom 3rd in touchdowns, average yards per catch, right? I think it's Brandon Ayuk who 200 yet less targets, bypassing by several touchdowns. So, the average yards per game, the touchdowns, they're not there. A lot of targets, but despite being number 3rd in targets, he's like number 10th, 8th or so in actual 10th in yardage. 10th in yardage. What's different is there's tiers of wide receivers in the NFL. There's the upper tier that essentially goes from Devontae Adams to Tyreek Hill from 2022 to 2024 last year. And that's the top. And then there's another pack, and that's where Garrett Wilson falls out. All that being said, I want them to sign him for the right price, not overpay. And the right price, in my opinion, is around the $26-27 million range.
Oh boy. That leaves quite a pit in the stomach, which can immediately be helped by Jorge Perez joining the Boy Green Coffee Club. All right. Or George Perez. I assumed Jorge. Either way, you are now a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. That's the easiest way to do it, is you control your own destiny, baby. Just hit the sign up for the Boy Green Coffee Club. That is a pinned comment right now on youtube.com/boygreen25. It's just that easy. For $2.99 a month, you get a loyalty badge on the screen. You get access to our cool emojis that Jets Worldwide, wide. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel. I believe today is the day that they're having a former Jets player on the show. So make sure you go show your support. I believe that's on the Friday night stream this evening. So go enjoy. What a great get for them. And also, this gives you access to our Discord channel, which is bubbling. So, guys, make sure you take full advantage there as well. I should have taken a drink. Wait, how much was that again for Garrett Wilson?
Around the $26-27 million range.
It would have had better dramatic effect if I did that immediately. $26-27 million. Where the hell does that put him on the wide receiver APY?
And that's still exactly in that top third. As I just said, that's where he lives. That's where he lives. That's where he gets paid. The people at the top of the list are those people I talked about. He does not compare, and this is not hatred on Garrett Wilson. It is not. It is not. It is not. Whatever you want. He's not Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
He's not Jamar Chase.
Okay,
right?
I agree.
Group at the top, that he's not in that category.
But isn't there we get Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He's not that. Okay, I can understand that. I agree. But there's a gap, but there's a literal gap on the APY between that, which is the top of the market, 35 million plus, versus where you're putting him at 26-27. That's a $9 to $15 million gap in APY. Why would Garrett, with 2 years left on his deal, take the team friendly deal? Again, if the Jets actually signed him to that, terrific. But why would he do that? I don't understand.
Well, it's all about money.
Okay.
Right. He's going to make $16 million. If you gave him a signing bonus, and made him guaranteed money, if I told you can make 20, you can double your pay next year if you sign this contract right now. And by the way, we're going to give you another year your salary in advance. Right? There's a consideration there. You got to think about that. we're gonna sign you to a 3-year. I'll even round up $80 million deal, right? And we're going to give you a $30 million signing bonus, something of that nature. That's appealing to people, right? And that is why he would sign it, right? Because injuries happen. That's why he would sign it. And because getting that signing bonus and the salary, essentially, he's getting more money than he's ever made in his life, right? And you just slide across. Let's look at the stat sheet. You're not this person. You're not that. You don't have to go there, but those are the facts. That's a conversation you have with his agent where he's not even in the room. Let's be realistic, right? That's what I'm saying. And so you give him a deal. You keep him with the team. He brings a lot to the team, and he should be a Jet for life. But it's got to be for a price that'll help the Jets be successful. If the Jets have the top paid wide receiver, the top paid cornerback, and they win 4 games next year, how happy is the fan base going to be?
We got our guys. I would tell you this. First off, it's Jorge. Thank you for clarifying that, Jorge.
Jorge.
Jorge. Ole. Jorge.
Oh, hey, whoa.
What?
Whoa,
like a matador.
Okay. That's a little.
Anywho, the point is that thank you very much for becoming a member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. All you guys can do that. That's a pinned comment right now on YouTube.com. Oh, he did it. Hip hop Jorge. Okay. I see what we're doing here. We can keep mixing those up. I'll try to work those in where I can. But I understand what you're saying because players have to make that decision all the time. Are they willing to risk it to get the biscuit? Sure. Garrett, I'm sure, is tantalized by the top of the receiver market going, oh, this market is going up, and every year the NFL cap goes up. Like this is great for business, and wide receivers specifically are making a lot of moolah. And if I choose to wait and say Jets pack it, this money isn't good enough. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You brought up Justin Jefferson. It's a great example. Before his breakout he's had a lot of breakout seasons, but before one of these seasons, a couple years ago, before he got paid, the Vikings offered him a multi-year deal that paid him $27 million per season. Justin Jefferson said, bend over. And then they said, well, that's no way to talk to me. And then Justin Jefferson said, well, I wasn't talking to you. And then ultimately here, what happened was that he bet on himself. And then after that season, he got $35 million more per season, not more. He got $8 million per more. So he bet on himself and it worked out. But there have been plenty of cases, and Pop, several of them, especially in the post-free or free agency era moving forward in the 90s, that if you bet on yourself and you blow out your knee, then you don't get the money. So it is a little bit of that fine line. But it just seems like to me, if Garrett has this crazy year, pairing up with this college teammate, like the Jets offer 26, he's like, no friggin' way. We're not doing 26. I'll see you next year, basically. And if the Jets wait till next year and he has this crazy year with Justin Fields, yesterday's price is not today's price. All of a sudden, he's in a different stratosphere entirely next year, which is sort of scary, contractually speaking, because that hurts more of what you said.
Yeah. So let's talk about a few things. All right. I believe Garrett Wilson is going to produce the exact same numbers that he's always produced. Justin Fields is not going to come and sling the ball all over the field. It's going to be completely different offense. Justin Fields may crack 3,000 yards, but it's going to be around 3,000 yards.
That'd be a career year.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So Garrett Wilson, with some of the other weapons that I think are going to mature, hopefully, and the tight end option actually being an option, he's only going to get what he's got, right? And I will tell you that I don't want this to happen. Garrett Wilson's replaceable. His numbers are not off the chart.
What about this? 3 siblings. Let's throw this comment up. 1K receiver every year, no quarterback the last 3 years. He's quarterback proof and plays every game. Another good point. He's never hurt. Best ability is availability. What's your response to this? That's true.
Actually, he helps my argument. He's played more games than all those wide receivers and still only delivered 1,100 yards with the 3rd most targets in the NFL, right? And you can't even talk about last year. So we can channel all we want to about the Pittsburgh quarterback, whose name will not be spoken.
Sure.
But he came within 100 yards, right, of being the Jets' all-time leading passing leader for a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say he didn't have a quarterback last year. You could say whatever you want, but the numbers are the numbers, right? Garrett Wilson, the other 2 years, you throw somebody the ball, eventually they're going to catch it. I'm just telling you, it's not hatred for Garrett Wilson, but he does not hold all the cards. That's all I'm saying. His production is what his production is. That's what we deal with every day. The Jets.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are all targets created equally?
Yeah. Well, that's a. Would you want to be the highest paid cornerback? Well, you're trying to come up with the stupidest question of the week?
Stupidest. You said, he's fourth in the league in targets. Like, okay, what was the quality level of said
It's
target?
third in the league in targets.
I believe it's fourth, but
It's third.
We should double check the numbers because on ESPN, I'm pretty sure it has fourth. We should, but whether it is third or fourth, it's fourth. But whether it is third or fourth, what I don't understand is that we're overreacted to that because more numbers tell us when Devontae Adams arrived, the target share from Devontae Adams to Garrett Wilson was stark. Specifically in the red zone, it was even more stark. Shout out to Zach Rosenblatt for that, where Aaron Rodgers straight up ignored Garrett Wilson in the end zone. So now, months later, we're like, look at this guy. Can't score any touchdowns. Well, Aaron Rodgers didn't target him in the red zone for the entire second half of the season. So if he would have looked at Garrett Wilson a little more often, maybe there would have been more touchdowns and maybe less part of your argument.
No. And my stats that I've been discussing are for his entire career, not just last year.
Sure.
Not just last year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But the Jets didn't score a lot of touchdowns.
He would be in the top of the league in touchdowns if you could use his 3-year number against everyone else's 1-year number from last year.
Okay. Two things. One, the Jets haven't scored a lot of touchdowns. Their offenses have sucked in general. Not Garrett Wilson's fault. Number two, specifically last season, to bring us the most relevant and recent information, Aaron Rodgers ignored him. The numbers and analytics say it in the red zone. He did not look Garrett Wilson's way most of the season, and then specifically post Devontae Adams, which, by the way, he was acquired in week 7. That's the majority of the season. That was more than half of the season, included Devontae Adams in the picture, where Garrett Wilson was ignored, which dramatically affected his numbers.
Yeah, well, we can agree. The worst part is I'm saying to sign him.
But for like chump change under your couch, like, come on, man. 26 is disrespectful. 11th? Come on, man. And also, if we're honest, Woody was the one yelling about this yesterday, which, by the way, you should have a talking to about your son. He was giving some Dak Prescott slander in the street, saying, if he's the highest paid quarterback, does that mean he's the best quarterback in football? And saying marketing and how the market works and all that. Garrett Wilson, sometimes you don't just get paid for what you are. You could get paid for your situation. This is the best Jets receiver they've ever had through their first 3 years ever. So you have to pay the piper. You don't get to pay. You can attempt to pay the number you're saying, and if he says pack it, eventually he may get to somewhere else where someone else is willing to pay him that number. That's where potentially we could get into some issues. Now, Pop, this is a new addition to the show, but G-Man, the prophet for Jets football, wants you to go to the grinder for your blasphemy talk here on the program.
Okay. And again, I'm saying to sign Garrett Wilson at a reasonable price to help the team. It's weird.
Okay.
Like, you cut the throat of Mr. Jones after he
Okay.
led the AFC.
How many times are you going to bring this up?
Now, it's a viable point. Like, I don't know. Are you a Jets fan, right? Primarily, or a Garrett Wilson fan? My entire discussion is in support of the Jets spending the right money at the right place. My starting point is that I would go no more than $30 million.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. By the way, G-Man, thank you for the super chat. You got yourself another raffle ticket. You're $1 away from another one as well. So, G-Man, appreciate that. I can't throw my pop in the grinder. That just feels un-American, especially as he's in full patriotic gear and has served our country for well over 20 years. It just, I just can't do it. So there's no bounty for my father. I'm afraid I just can't do it. Now, if we were on some sort of blood versus water survivor season, I might have to do what I have to do to win the $1 million, but $1 million is not on the line at this point. But Pop, that's what I was going to say in your negotiation. So you give us this 26-27, but, you have to have some wiggle room when you go into the pawn shop and you say, I'm not walking out of here without $50 for this wallet. And you go in and then, okay, I walked out with $20. Everyone's got numbers in their head. So you said the maximum, the ceiling is 30 million per year, or like 29.9, or what?
Yeah, I wouldn't go more than 30. So he could have 30 million a year average, but I wouldn't spend more than that. The total contract for 3 years, $90 million, that would be the most.
So if it was more than that, and we're doing a Boy Green Daily the next day, you're upset.
If it was more than that, yes.
Yeah, so it's
I won't be upset.
30.1. It's 31 million, whatever it is. The next day, so breaking news coming in. Here it is. Wilson just signed an extension. It's 31 million per season. Your reaction is what?
I think it was a mistake. I think they overpaid. I'm not upset. I just think they overpaid. By the way, you're not going to do the highlighter microphone thing like you did with Woody yesterday. But and your take, hold on, and your take is what? Anyways, that was a nice prompt you used yesterday.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to be upset. I just think they should not pay more than 30 million. If they do, they do.
Okay, and what's it on Sauce? You said you didn't even want to pay him this offseason, but if they were to pay him, which again seems like the current reporting, the current news says they're trying to sign both. How much do you pay him there?
I don't try to sign Sauce at all.
Well,
I let him. Right. If Sauce is, let me be clear. If Sauce is years, if his production by year was flopped. Mm-hmm. His first year was last year, and then the next 2 years are all pro.
This is true.
I'm signing him to a contract, right? I'm not signing him to a contract this offseason until I see that last year was and I know the risk. But let me tell you this: his contract for that they picked up the 5th-year option. That 5th-year option puts him in the top 5 highest-paid cornerbacks in the league right now. He's going to make $20 million, right, in that option year. And that puts him, just to be clear, that puts him in the top 5 for cornerbacks. I think there's less, right? So it's a big disparity, right? The highest is Derek Stingley. He's getting $30 million a year.
Yeah. We got J.C. Horn at 25. We got Jalen Ramsey at 24.1. I don't think that would put him in top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 or 7 is what it would put him at.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, 6 or 7, right? So it's not like Garrett Wilson, where it's significant, right? $16 million to $45 million. That's huge. Sauce, by default, by the collective bargaining agreement, his 5th-year option money puts him right now right into the mix of the top 5, 6, 7 cornerbacks in the league. That's why I'm saying there's less urgency because the gap is smaller, right? And so his wanting to be the highest paid, he's already going to be in the ballpark of the top, whatever that is, 6, 7 cornerbacks in the league next year anyways. That's what I'm saying.
I will say this. We also have more super chats coming in. We'll address those in a second. I just want to go back to, we had the Ian Rappaport video earlier from last night. Here's the other part of it, just to go back to it for this. His expectation is that the Jets will get the Sauce deal done before the season, specifically, and that Ian said he would not be surprised if he's the highest paid corner or basically right in the conversation, because the cornerback market was reset this offseason, Bob. The highest paid corner in football was Jalen Ramsey at $24.1 million per year at the beginning. It was topped by J.C. Horn at $25 million per year. A week later, Derek Stingley crush that market at $30 million per year average. So the current expectation, at least according to Ian Rappaport, is obviously the Jets are trying to do both at the same time, but specifically Sauce is the one that he believes is going to get done before the season.
And I think that's a mistake. Why would you make him the highest paid quarterback coming off an off year? He barely stayed in the top 100 of PFF rankings, which takes all the analytical information for a cornerback. He's a 10th rated quarterback in PFF rankings.
Although,
go ahead.
He was ranked as the number 1 corner on the PFF rankings just a week ago or something, which he was tweeting about on social media.
I'm sure he was. So anyways, he had an off year. Why would you pay him? Right? He's already going to get paid. Yeah, show me this year, and then we'll look at it. That's what I would say. Right?
Doesn't the majority show more? So, right. So 2 of his 3 years was a first-team All-Pro. Last year looks like the outlier, not the other way around.
Right. Is that a decline? That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well, right. Show me it's not a decline. And like I just said, right, show me, and then, right, you're already getting a very reasonable and comparable paycheck in your 5th-year option. And the $20 million now, it's not like you're playing for $1 million and there's this, huge gap. That's what I'm saying. Let him show you. I will tell you that based on the signings we had, based on the draft, we have some depth there. And who knows? There's no risk to letting him run his contract through the end of this year. If it's a great year, then yeah, you're going to have to pay him. Why do now what you might have to do later, right? Because we don't know. Is that an anomaly, right? And I'm not talking about anything that no one can argue that last year was an off year for him. And is he going to fit?
You're saying yes.
And is he going to fit in Aaron Glenn defense? I want him to show me. I sign Garrett. I don't sign Sauce.
Okay, fair enough. Again, as we're talking here on the program with Pop, appreciate you guys and all the memberships coming through again and the raffle tickets. We will get that up here in just a moment. So hang on tight as we update the banner here. Our boy G-Man, the Prophet for Jets football, is now up to 18 raffle tickets so far this month, which is surging. That is number 4 right now in our top 5 so far this month. Dre Correa staying inside the top 5 with 15. Let's play a couple of these. First off, Indy Jets has a comment he would like to share. Every time we get a super chat or member shout out, we hear from my daughter's Rylan. Wow. Indy Jets has been a member for 8 months, would like to call into the show and help you with your math, Pop. He would like to do that.
The likelihood that I need help with math is less than 0.
Okay. There you go. Very nice. And G-Man, the Prophet for Jets football, jumping in. Hey, love to see it. Wow. Pops, have you been redeemed? Thus the Prophet all rise.
I'm not sure what that means, but okay.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you for sharing. And I think that caught us up on all of our super chat action. All right, we've got a few minutes left in the show. This will be another shorter show because, as I mentioned earlier before, okay, folks, we're going to be I'm doing a surprise Father's Day trip with my pop out in the Pennsylvania area. We're both meeting out there, and it should be a good time. So without further ado, let's open up the phone lines. We'll play a quick half timeout. We'll have time for just a couple of calls here. So, guys, if you want to call into the show, now is your time to do so. Half timeout. More coming up after this.
Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets. Let's go.
All right, it's time for some breakfast, and we got a cup of Philly noodles here. Absolutely wonderful gifting a Boy Green Coffee Club. Hey, now, let's reveal this new member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. That is Vern. So shout out to Philly Noodles 631 specifically for sharing all the love here on the program. Absolutely appreciate it. Just wanted to do a discount double check here on the raffle ticket combination. So wonderful. We'll add that to your total Philly Noodles here in just a moment. I believe we also have a super chat coming in from Jorge Perez here on the program. Nice $10 golden YouTube super chat here. You absolutely love to see it on the program. Wow. Get to say that I live in Seattle. Hey, my Aunt Lori lives out in Seattle.
Holy crap noodles. That means it's he's been on since 4:30 Seattle time.
That's some impressive level of dedication. Who joined the Boy Green Coffee Club and now added a super chat to your total. Jorge Perez, that gives you an additional 3 raffle tickets. Okay, you're up to 4 total is what my math calculates to. Beep, boop, bop, $2 away from another one. So thank you, Jorge. And hey, Seattle, I love it. Good representation, and again, shows the real support of the channel. Speaking of Philly Noodles, it's a Friday, so Philly Noodles here on the show. What's up, Philly?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen? How is your day?
Hey, not too shabby, pal.
Good morning.
Good morning. So let's get right into it.
Ding, ding.
I think, honestly, the wave of the cornerbacks that were being signed, like you guys just stated within on your conversation, the Jets should have just punched Sauce in there somewhere because he would have really got the better deal.
Yeah.
Now, I think Pops, I agree with you, but in reality, that's not the world we live in, where he should be paid based off what happens this year. If you do that, he has a good year, we're going above 30. We might go way above 30. We might go, 32, 33. We don't know. I don't want that. I don't want no part of that. Just cut the bleeding while it occurs now. Cut him the $30.5 million to make him feel better. 30.1. Give him $10,000 more dollars than Stingley. Give them that in a weekend with Ice Spice somewhere they want. I don't even care. Just make it happen. Get it done and over with. Garrett is the bargain deal for sure out of everything because they should have already signed Sauce. They didn't. It's fine. Garrett is your I think your benefit deal there where, you're not going to give him Chase money. Why? Because he's not Chase.
Obviously.
But he is a great wide receiver. So there's your bargain. Jermaine Johnson, I think might be him or Brees is going to be like the weirder odd man out, where I don't think Jermaine's going to hold out of camp, but he's also not going to get paid what he really is going to want or expect. But Brees is really the outlier here. No matter how much Glenn's like, I love him. I want him here. Oh, yeah, I want the guy here. That don't matter. If his season's meh, see you later.
Yeah.
Highest bidder, or he's getting like nothing. Like me and you discussed BG on Discord.
Yeah.
I think Brees is worth, if he has a great season, $10 million a year, maybe 12, but 20 guarantee first 2 years,
Right.
36.
Yeah,
And
I
if
mean,
not,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that. The running backs getting a big second contract, it just doesn't exist, and we have a few very rare examples from last year. But
Like Christian, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry. Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean that's
but those are freaks.
then-
those are perfect
Sure.
players.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not freaks. And they're right. We're not even talking. That's
Saquon,
not freaks.
obviously another one. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
yeah,
with that.
Yeah, that's where I stand on that. And I think if Brees doesn't have the best year, if someone wants the highest bid on him out there on the market, let them have it if they need somebody, or just cut him. I think I was saying revise the deal, give him like what do we say, 36, give him 30 guaranteed and get him 8 for 2 at 24. I mean, eight for whatever you got to do, just make the numbers work. But yeah, that's what I think. Sign Sauce immediately. You should have already did it. And Garrett, you get the good deal. So
I appreciate it. Philly,
right,
continuing another Philly Friday. I appreciate you. Again, my fear for Sauce, and thanks for calling in and continuing the Friday tradition. My fear for Sauce is I think he's awesome. And I get last year was lesser than normal. The first 2 years showed me what he is. I have no concerns whether last year is a sign of decline or anything. I think 100% he's going to be good. And thus, waiting the year to me is just delaying the inevitable. You're going to pay him. That's a part that sort of gets me a little bit there. Let's go back to the phone lines here. We've got Tommy here on the show. What's up, Tommy?
EG, Pop, how are you?
Good.
Hey,
how
we're
you
doing great, man. What's going on?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay. About to start work in 15 minutes. I'm glad you guys took my call.
Of course.
I just wanted to say to Pops, you got to understand, I'm sorry, I'm in Manhattan. A lot of traffic going by. I'm in 30 Hudson Yards. You got to understand that Garrett Wilson is not, I'm going to say, he's not a top 5 wide receiver. He's not Jamar Chase, right? But the market goes up each and every year. And he's one of the best wide receivers that has potential because he played with garbage quarterback play. He played with garbage quarterback play. He still got his 1,000 yards. And he makes insane catches. And he just needs to, maybe put on a little bit more muscle. You know what I mean? I could see where, he makes some catches where, it gets you a little scared once he catches the ball. But that's all teachable. And I think this guy's the best wide receiver that will ever come down in a Jets uniform. So I think you got to pay that man first before the season even starts to prove to your teammates, if you sign Jermaine Sherwood, who was a converted safety to linebacker, and he's a small linebacker with that, he's small. You got to sign your homegrown people. And I would start with Garrett and then work your way to Sauce, and then Brees would be last because he's a running back. But you have to sign Garrett, and he's going to get $30 million minimum. I would say up to the 35. Like as the longer they wait, the money's going to just keep going up. So I would sign him, and I wish you guys a blessed day. God bless America. Pops, I appreciate everything you did for our service. Boy Green, you're the best, brother.
There he is, OG Jets fan, 1985, baby. A loyal member to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Appreciate you, OG, and thanks for the support. Again, I agree. I think the money on Garrett is just going to continue to go up, and we will finish with one last caller, and you'll have the time remaining. I don't know what the math is on that, so we'll get him in. Actually, we'll do two. We'll do two callers. Quick. Hep, you're in.
Hey, Paul. Hey,
Yes.
hey Paul.
Yeah.
Listen, there's no rush to sign these guys. I would just do it in the mid-season.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no rush, really. I mean, maybe the price will go up a little bit,
Sure.
but realistically, they're not going anywhere. They want to play. Everybody's here and on board. So I get them in the mid-season. Let's concentrate on getting this ship, running straight and everything, and we'll work it from there. Peace
Fair
out.
enough. Appreciate it, Hep. Yeah, well, we got 2 years of team control, that's for sure. Finish off the math conversation. Indy Jets is our last caller here on the show. What's up, Indy?
Good morning, guys. Good morning, Pops, BG. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Pops, do you agree that Wilson is equivalent talent-wise with somebody like St. Brown out of Detroit?
I think St. Brown's a little better.
You think St. Brown's a little better? He's had a far better quarterback, far better coaching, and yet his talent level is better. I mean, come on.
His talent level is better. The Lions have more talent at wide receiver than the Jets do by margin.
And they have a far better quarterback and far better coaching over the last couple of years, correct?
Sure.
Okay. So let's just compare that. We'll compare this. St. Brown got a $30 million contract last year, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I
I believe it's a 4-year, $120 million deal, $30 million per. Yep.
Right. Yeah. And that was a year ago. And so, when it comes to negotiations, you negotiate with what you have.
Right.
So when the team's negotiation power went up 9.5%, that's what you're negotiating with now. And so if you take Garrett Wilson's contract and you want to compare him to a similar contract with St. Brown, a year later, that contract is worth 9.5% more, because that's what you're negotiating with today. Not like you're not negotiating with last year's money, you're negotiating with this year's money. Okay, because if you wait, and so that puts Garrett Wilson at $32.5 million, just to be equivalent to St. Brown.
Yeah, and I don't think, and I started off by saying I don't think he's equivalent to St. Brown, and I don't think you look at it that way. The Jets need to decide what they're willing to pay. Here's our salary cap. Here's all the factors of our salary cap. Here's who we're going to allocate for all these different positions. Is what we can afford in this position. And by the way, I'm for signing Garrett Wilson for the right price. Right? I am. And it's, he had the greatest quarterbacks? No. Did he have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time that nearly set the Jets passing record last year? Yes.
Played like crap. Aaron Rodgers played like crap. Come on now. As soon as what would Garrett Wilson's numbers be had Devontae Adams not showed up and Aaron Rodgers force-fed Devontae over and over and over? Those catches would have went to Garrett. Garrett would have been at 1,300 yards. Okay.
By the way, would have,
right?
should have, could have is not math. That's not math. That's not how math works.
No, you're looking at reality. So reality is
math.
Right. The reality is these catches were taken away from Garrett. Right. So because without Devontae, who was going to get the catches? Was Lazard going to be step up? No. So you look at what Garrett did prior to Devontae coming there, and you say, okay, this is what he was doing without Devontae, and now all of a sudden his numbers go down with Devontae. That's not saying woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's saying this is reality.
You're talking about fairy tales of things that might have, could have, should have happened. So you're a doctor.
The reality
did
Garrett's numbers go down when Devontae got there? That's a true or false? True or false?
No, that's not how it works. That's how an argument works. You
No.
tell me how much they've
You
gone
want to
down.
talk
You tell
facts?
me how
Facts
much
were
they've gone down.
Garrett Wilson's
Well,
numbers went down when Devontae got there. You want to talk facts, right? Those are facts.
No, not your opinion. Give me specific information about what is average yards per game. That's how you have an argument. You bring to me,
I'll be happy. Yeah,
you
I'm a
bring to
numbers guy.
me
I'll be
and
happy to sit down
this
today
is
and
what his
do it.
yards per game average was before Devontae. This is what it was after. You don't have those numbers. You're
No,
going
I actually don't, but I will get them for you. I have
that's
no
how you
problem
argue.
doing that.
You
But
can't have
my
an
point,
argument without that information or discussion. We're not in an argument. You can't have a discussion. You're presuming things hypothetical. That's not math.
it's not hypothetical. I do know I do know that there was a number difference, but I'll get you the numbers. And then what? Then you're going to say what? What's your next argument of, well, that's not really true?
No. We'll talk about it. You bring the numbers. You bring the milkshake to the yard. All right, we got.
Indy, I'll tell you this. Tomorrow, Hop on Pop is on the show. So do your homework today, and we will report back tomorrow. We'll wrap up the show here, Pop. We just have some super chats to finish off. Sorry for anyone else who's waiting on the phone lines. We have limited time here. For Lily and Big D sent in this super chat, Pop.
Wow.
Thank you so much for the 1999 super chat for Lily and Big D. You and Pop crack me up. You remind me of my brother and I when we argue. You're both saying the same thing, but the details are slightly off. I think you guys just like to argue. Pop?
That's true.
Okay, there you go. That's one more coming in. G-Man the Prophet for Jets football.
Wow.
Happy Father's Day to all Jets Nation's dads, including you, Pop.
Very good.
And one last thing here. OG Jets fan 1985. Our guy Tommy called in and also gave a Boy Green Coffee Club membership. That membership went to Derek the Cop. Thank you guys so much for all the support today financially and calling the show. Super chats, memberships all over the place. You were crazy. Again, me and my Pop will be doing another show tomorrow morning together, but in the same place because we're going to Pennsylvania for a special Father's Day trip, which should be a lot of fun. So, Indy, do all your homework. I expect to see you tomorrow, bright and early, young man, for a pop quiz. We'll see if you have the answers to those questions. Pop, any final thoughts?
Nope. Everyone have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
See ya. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Take care.